It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Jen Cohen as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives in Yavapai County. And now, here's today's Countywide.
Welcome to Countywide. I'm Paul David. As always, it's great to have you in studio today. We have two guests with us today. Verde District Ranger Todd Willard, welcome to studio.
Morning.
And then in charge of recreation, the Prescott National Forest, well, not in charge, but definitely involved in recreation, Tom Palmer is in studio as well. A couple months ago, was it December? We had the press release. Debbie Manili sent it about there's going to be a temporary forest closure along Highway 260, as well as between Cottonwood and Camp Verde, as well as in Camp Verde along Salt Mine Road.
Correct.
From Camp Verde to Beasley Flats. No camping on the side of the road and stuff like that was going on. So, been trying to get Todd in here ever since then, but government shutdown and a few other things have kept that from happening. But here they are today, so we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Let's kind of jump right into it. Can you guys tell me exactly what's been going on along Highway 260? Because it's not the first time we've talked to you about this, Todd, about the issues along Highway 260 and out there in Camp Verde as well. But just what's been going on?
So I was first here 2 years ago or so, visiting about other things, and I brought it up then. It's just been an ongoing issue that the Verde District has been dealing with long-term use. And so the resource issues that are associated with that are substantial. We have a limited staff at the Verde Ranger District. Essentially, we have one person, a field-going person, that's responsible for these undeveloped rec sites. So we've been concerned, I have, and I've made it clear since I arrived at the Verde District that my intent was to address that. So it's just a responsibility we have for resource management in the general public. Most folks I knew and encountered wouldn't go there because of the uses that were going on. So it's whenever folks exceed this 2-week stay limit that's established, it becomes problematic. And so residential use is what has driven a lot of this. And so there have been numerous things that have been attempted over the past, I don't know, 20 to 30 years that just haven't been working.
Okay.
So we stepped it up to respond to that and to do our job as resource managers. So that's how we've gotten where we are now. It's
a pretty convenient location between Camp Verde and Cottonwood 260 to just kind of pull off the road and go back in the forest, and you could stay there. But again, it is a 14-day stay limit. So let's make that really clear. What does a 14 stay limit is? So if I pull up and I'm got my tent and stuff pitched in an area, and I stay there for 14 days, and you guys know that. And Tom, do you patrol out there?
We do.
Okay, so you see who's there and who's not there for longer periods of time. So if I stay there for the 14 days, and let's say I pick everything up and I move it 2 feet and set it back down, does that constitute me I've moved?
No.
No.
No, sir.
Okay, so what is the law and how does that work?
14-day stay limit applies to the forest that you're on, technically. So that's what's been happening here in the Verde Valley. People will stay for 14 days on the Verde side, on this side of the river, and then move over to the Coconino for 14 days and kind of go back and forth with that cycle. We've seen a lot of that, and our Ellie and I have seen a lot of that. Our law enforcement officers have seen a lot of that.
Okay.
So it's kind of a back and forth. That's technically how that's supposed to work. Off for 14, or on for 14, off for 16.
See, I learned something new here. I did not know that. I thought if I stayed 14 days in the Prescott National Forest, that as long as I traveled a decent distance, I could stay in there 14 days. But that's not the case. You've got to go to a different forest altogether.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah. The BLM, I believe, has some different policies on their stay limits, and so moving a distance may work on other public lands, but not on the Forest Service.
Okay, so when we see a lot of folks staying longer than 14 days, what are some of the issues that wind up creeping up on us out there?
Well, the normal things. Whenever you're in a place like if you're staying for a long period of time, there's trash. There's the sanitation issues that we deal with, all those things combined, fires. It's kind of, it all kind of goes together.
Chopping down trees. Firewood?
Exactly. We see a lot of resource damage with our vegetation along the 260 corridor in areas where people have stayed a long time because they're running out of a means to have fires. So yeah, so we see a lot of vegetation destroyed.
Okay. A lot of those effects are long term. When you stop and think about all those vehicles moving in a piece of ground, it almost looks like a parking lot, but it's dirt. And so you got watershed issues, veg issues. It just doesn't come back. And so those are long-term things that we're going to have to try and deal with over to try and rehab those areas. But you know, it's been ongoing for years. So this is an effort to try and get that resource back to a viable, healthy condition.
How many people were out there? How many campsites are we talking about? Because it has to be pretty substantial to cause quite so much damage.
It depends on the time of year. The winter time is generally a better time for just because of the weather. At times we've seen up to 60 to 80 camps just on the Thousand Trail side, which is incredible.
I had no idea.
Yeah. On the other side of the road, the 360, 361 Forest Road, the Wilbur Road, which it's called now.
Okay.
Anywhere from 20 to 30 camps, all within a very small area, which is way above the capacity for the ground.
You get to know these people by name?
A few of them.
Yeah. What is the? Because some of the folks stay there a lot longer. I mean, there's some people who are just here recreating maybe for the weekend that go out there, and because we've got. The motorcycle place. Hayfield Draw is out there. There's a few things along Highway 260 that I would definitely, if I was coming up here and I was going to be participating in some of those things, I would probably stay in the forest right there in my camper or something like that. So, I mean, we've got that use going on, right? Well, not now, but we had that, but then we've got others as well.
We have had that use in the past, and that is a legitimate use. But in the past, we've seen because of this, the intensity of the camping, the other type of camping that's going on, those folks are actually not staying.
Okay.
Because it's not inviting and a little scary.
What's it like for you to go out there and be, it's got to be a little bit dangerous too.
It is.
And for the staff also.
Oh, it surely is. And when I got here in 2010, we had a strategy out there of employing hosts, using hosts on site to disseminate information, provide some passive compliance, let people know what the rules are. We've tried that. We went through an intensive signing and information kind of strategy to make sure people understood the rules for the 14-day stay limit. And at a point about, I think, 2016, based on our discussions with our law enforcement officers and the type of clientele, the type of people, percentage of the people that were out there, it made it very, there were some concerns about our employees' public safety, about making those public contacts. So about 2016, we actually stopped making public contacts, which was a big deal because that's part of what our role is to talk with people and visit. But the ranger thought, and I thought, based on our discussions with our law enforcement, that it wasn't worth exposing our employees to that risk. So we took a step back and started doing just really intensive data collection, documenting and monitoring stay limits of the folks in this area, and then we'd pass that along to our law enforcement officers that when they had their time and they were available to make those contacts, they would go take care of that.
Okay.
Or try to make those contacts that we had stopped doing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I'd like to add, we're talking primarily 260 here, but it's important to realize that some of those activities have expanded well beyond 260. So that's why we looked at salt mine, incorporating that. We actually had two sites on the road that goes into the trailhead at Copper Canyon. And so those were just removed. But, it's when we're concerned about our public safety or the safety of our employees, we're concerned about the public as well. And anyway, that's a hard call, but it reached that point with the clientele. And not all the folks out in those areas were, of concern, but there certainly were a lot of law enforcement contacts made by Cottonwood PD, and then in addition to Forest Service LE&I, and we're getting help from the west side of the Prescott Forest. We have a law enforcement officer there, and we were getting some help from some of the Coconino folks. But we're currently without a law enforcement officer on the Verde district. We're going to get one relatively soon, but yeah, it just really has changed since I've been here. I've seen the change.
Well, you could tell with the press release that Debbie sent out that there was some frustration in there. It's like, okay, something's got to be done, so let's shut it down, figure out what we're going to do, reassess everything. We'll open it up and we'll try something different. We got to take a quick break, okay? Sure. Prescott National Forest Verde District Ranger Todd Willard in studio today. Tom Palmer in Recreation as well with the Forest Service. Stick around, countywide, back in just a couple minutes.
Protect yourself and those around you from flu. Here's 3 things you should do. Get a flu vaccine each year. Take everyday preventive actions to stop the spread of germs, like covering coughs and sneezes and washing your hands, and stay home if you're sick. If you do get the flu, contact a healthcare professional right away and take flu antivirals if prescribed. Don't be a dreaded spreader. Take 3 steps to fight flu.
Most of us want to make some type of difference in the lives of others. St. Jude does miraculous work.
The fact that no one has to pay, it's a place where everyone is treated as an equal.
Everybody is welcome here, and it doesn't matter, your religion or, what part of the world you're from, that just sort of all that is taken away. It just gives you some hope.
Yo siento que soy parte de esa bendición que ese niño recibió al irse a su casa ya sanado.
It's just a nice feeling to put your energy into something that really does genuinely make a difference in a child's life.
There's just no greater gift. If we have the ability to help, then we have a responsibility to help.
Mandalay Homes introduces the new Ion Series, a revolutionary new approach to home building innovation and energy management. Built on a foundation of industry-leading energy efficiency and sustainable building practices, the Ion Series home redefines how we use and manage renewable energy. Contact a Mandalay Home sales executive today to learn more, or visit one of our Ion Series communities throughout northern Arizona.
Welcome back to Countywide. We're sitting down with the Prescott National Forest talking about the closure for camping, dispersed camping along Highway 260. Any kind of camping, really. Any kind of camping along Highway 260 and then Salt Mine Road and Camp Verde. I guess that breaks it down pretty simple. Okay, so now we know it's been overpopulated, overused, trash, garbage, just overused, and it's been going on for years. So in this 2-year period here that we're going to have it closed, because it's January 7th, 2021 that it will reopen, assuming everything goes the way it's supposed to go in the next 2 years. What are we going to do in this 2-year period here?
Well, we've got, we're still collecting data on use. For the most part, that's done, but we're trying to get that all together so we have something to share with the public so we can talk about, what we actually saw on the ground. And so we will have public meetings to identify these areas, and the public will give us feedback through the NEPA process in those public meetings so we can be informed on what they want. I've heard a lot from partners and towns and communities, other agencies, about the need to address this, and so we will. And I want to be clear that the closure that we have in place now is a temporary closure. It's a 2-year closure, so it sunsets. But if that NEPA process identifies, that we're going to change legal areas to camp, then that's what we plan on doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
But all the options are open right now, and that's what we want the public to come in and say, okay, do you got any ideas we've not thought of that maybe might help with this issue we have out there?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Do we know when the meetings are yet?
We have not scheduled any meetings yet.
Okay.
Like Todd said, we're still in the kind of process of collecting information, although we've been doing that for the last year or so. This analysis will actually look at the entire district and focus on some key areas, including the 260 corridor, areas on Mingus, places where we know that we're getting a lot of love from the community or the public, and for one reason or another. And so we'll look at all of those areas, and we'll try to define a strategy that will help us protect the resource and provide the opportunities that we think, and hopefully the public will come and tell us what their needs are, and hopefully we can find a balance between resource protection and providing opportunities as we're...
Yeah, because I was saying, odds are these two locations aren't the only locations that we've got this going on where it's just overuse.
From Mingus Mountain to out to Cedar Bench Wilderness, we have these issues.
So this could spur a whole new line of thinking about camping and dispersed camping in general on the entire Prescott National Forest.
You know, and I spent a lot of time considering how this may look and the public may view this, and I think it's critically important people understand that we want to encourage recreational use on public lands. It's critical to what we do. That's why we're here. We're public servants, we're land managers, and so we look at that, and there are some things that really need to be addressed, but I just want to be upfront that, you know, we want to encourage, you know, camping and outdoor recreational use because it's just healthy and it's what we do. But whenever it oversteps with the residential side of this and exceeding 2-week stay limits, then it impacts those uses. And that's what we're hearing, when people won't even use that 260 corridor for camping because they just aren't comfortable there. So anyway, but we are doing our best to maintain opportunities for rec use and camping, improving trailheads. I mean, there's all kinds of other work that's going on. So it's important that the public understands they're going to be key to this, and we're listening. So we want their participation.
I'm always a little baffled by it too, because I like to go out in the forest because I like to see the forest. You know, you never know what's going to walk by camp or what's swinging in the trees or flying around, stuff like that. But sometimes I go out there, it's really shocking to see what is left behind at some campsites. I mean, I've actually pulled up on a campsite where I've got a fire burning across the road, and there is literally a mountain of trash, and somebody had put a wire up between two trees for their dog to run back and forth on. And it's just all there. And it's like, are you going to come back next weekend or the weekend after that? And did you really want to come back to see your filth sitting here like that? So I was always taught that when you go camping, you're supposed to leave the campsite better than the way you found it.
It's a general rule.
Todd over there, he's like, this guy's got it. This guy knows his rules, you know. The Woodsy Owl, he taught me things when I was a kid, you know, and it's just, you know, it just seems that it's very simple and very easy to do that. Okay, so we're gathering data, and we've been gathering. You guys have been gathering data for years, though. This has been going on for a decade or more. We've got lots of data. So now it's just a matter of figuring out what's the next plan.
It's a matter of having some public meetings, getting some input, letting folks know what we're working on, and getting some ideas, and then formulating a good proposal that we can analyze, or some alternatives. Because maybe the alternatives will be no camping on certain areas, and we might have opposition to that. And so it's just hard to say, but without the people coming out, without the public coming to those public meetings or providing their comments, that's really what we need.
Okay, so eventually you'll boil it down to there's plan A, B, C, and D. Which ones do the public like the best? Which one's going to go? And then we move forward from there. 2 years doesn't seem like a whole lot of time to get that done.
We're hoping to finish our data gathering and work with the interdisciplinary team with the forest to try to figure out, based on resource issues, what are some good proposals, or what's a good base plan, and then probably schedule those meetings in the fall. That would be my anticipation, would be schedule some meetings in the fall, bring that to the public, say this is what we're thinking about, and then have the rest of 20 to shore up that proposed action or the alternative that we think is going to work, and then hopefully have an environmental assessment done by the end of 20.
That makes sense. 2019, you got your study going on, you got your public meetings going on. Then 2020, implement all that stuff, and then 2021, January 7th, reopen it and see how things go.
We would have a new strategy in place. That's the ideal situation. That's what we're shooting for.
Okay, all right. We're going to take another break. Prescott National Forest Verde District Ranger Todd Willard in studio today, along with Tom Palmer. Stick around, Countywide. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
What does it look like when a life is truly changed?
I feel a sense of accomplishment because I built a house. This house has brought us financial independence.
It's a great place to raise a family.
Strength, fuerza. When I look back where we've come from to where we are today, it makes my heart very happy.
Potential. Potencia.
For me, this house means all of us together.
So, together.
Security.
Security.
Every family dreams to have their own house. This house changed our lives.
Habitat for Humanity is at work in your community and around the world. Through shelter, we empower.
We develop quality citizens who keep our core, our country, and our communities side by side on the winning side. Not for glory, but for honor. For a code that isn't written or spoken, but lived. It's what we do. It's who we are. It's the battle cry of our fighting spirit. Battles won. See all the battles Marines fight to win at marines.com.
Welcome back to Countywide. Just a few minutes left of the program. We're going to change gears just a little bit, but something that is equally important to the forest. And you guys mentioned VTAP during the break. What's VTAP?
VTAP is the Verde Trails and Access Plan.
Okay.
It was a decision. It's a Trails and Access Plan. A decision was signed back in August of 18. I've been working on that plan for probably a couple of years now with the communities, the municipalities, several partners in the Verde Valley through this Verde Front kind of coalition or collaboration of all the folks in the Verde Valley. It's a really exciting time because the decision's finally signed. The decision actually authorizes about 132 miles of non-motorized trails.
Wow.
And about 30 dispersed staging areas where people can actually pull off the road, have a kiosk, and information about the opportunities that are available to them across the district. So it's a really exciting time. We started implementation of that plan last summer up on Mingus Mountain, and we're actually doing ARC surveys out at West Mingus here, or Blowout Wash Trail System that's adjacent to Mesquite Hills and Forest Road 493,
okay.
West Mingus Ave. We've got about 6 miles of trails that we're planning to start working on this year in 19. Really exciting. We just finished up an agreement with the Yavapai College, who's a big partner in that trail development. They'll be hosting a trailhead actually out of the Verde Valley campus, which is just exciting news. So that's going really well. We're also working with the Black Canyon Trail Coalition. If you're familiar with the Black Canyon Trail, National Recreation Trail out of Phoenix.
Okay.
Part of the Verde Trails and Access Plan was a 37.5-mile connector trail from the Mare area to the Verde River.
Oh my gosh!
Essentially through the Prescott National Forest, and we're starting the first 10 miles of survey and construction on that this year as well.
Okay.
So
wow.
Yeah, just things. It's a great time. Things are kind of starting to come together. City of Cottonwood has actually made a connection to the forest in the West Mingus area through Mesquite Hills subdivision, and they're already at our boundary. So part of our connector, or part of our trails at West Mingus this year will actually connect Cottonwood, which connects Riverfront Park, Dead Horse State Park, and downtown Cottonwood to the forest, which was a big goal of the Verde Trails and Access Plan, is connecting communities with their public lands. So
wow.
Cottonwood's been doing an amazing job. Just met with Morgan Scott the other day out at Mesquite Hills, and it was just a great day. It's things are kind of starting to come together.
I'm sure volunteers will be needed to help build the trail systems as well. And you guys have we only got like 45 seconds left, but is it every Wednesday, every other Wednesday?
Every Wednesday we have a volunteer. We've had that for about the last year and a half.
Right.
We have about 7 people consistently coming out.
Well, say it real quick before we run out of time. On Wednesdays, if I'm where, what time?
You can meet at the Verde Ranger District about 7:30, 8 o'clock, or sometimes we'll pick people up in Cottonwood. So call the district, give us a call, and we'll get you squared away.
Yeah. and you can go and do some trail work on Wednesdays, and then
you betcha.
Yeah. All right, Tom. Great meeting you. Thanks for coming in.
Paul.
Todd, good to see you.
Thanks so
And
much,
we're gonna have you guys back when we get the public meetings done to see what the public had to say and what the next step is going to be in 2020. It's hard to believe, but it's just around the corner, isn't it?
Right.
All right, that is today's Countywide. Thank you so much for watching and listening. We look forward to talking to you again next time.